Oh, they've done it! Steven Tirada, an instant hero! Can you believe it? Plenty attacking! No! The comeback is complete! A stunning second half from Schalke!
Au und weiß sein Leben lang. Herzlich willkommen zurück auf Schalke America. This episode is brought to you by Trivago. I'm your host, Richard Carmen. Joining me as always, co-host Jack Mangan. Jack, how are we doing this evening?
Love that shout out and love that tagline even more. Hotel, Trivago, Schalke, promotion or relegation. One of those two probably. We'll see. No, yeah, nothing in the middle for us this year. No. I'm doing well, Richard. How are you? Despite the result this weekend, which was yet another step in the wrong direction. A lot of off-field activity to talk about and potentially some room for optimism.
Yeah. We got a new manager. We got a new CEO. It's obviously international break, so we wanted that, right? That was, I think, before all that happened. I think, hey, international break. Let's take a break. Let's take a rest. Let's kind of regroup here. But yeah, new manager, new CEO in tow now. Good move. Where do you want to start? We obviously got the new people to talk about, and then also got the game to talk about, I guess, if we wanted to. But
we can start with Hertha and then end on the more positive note, or we can, up to you.
I like your style. Style. Let's before we get into all the new people in place, let's go back to Sunday. I was actually wanted to do a live stream, and then I'm starting watching the game. I'm like, oh, I was gonna do a live stream. Whoops. Oh, never mind. So it didn't happen. But anyway, I'm kind of glad it didn't, because it was the Schalke that we've come to know and love so far this season. Hooking up against Hertha Berlin, starting lineups in this one. Justin Hickarin is in goal instead of Langer, and then back four. The GOAT is back with Matriciani, with Baumgartel, Kaminski, and Oyan. You had a midfield five of Tempelman, Schallenberg, Drexler back in the lineup, Karaman and Merkin, with Sebastian Polter up top. I was a little surprised to see the goalie switch in this game, but what are thoughts on the lineup overall going into this?
I'm actually kind of pleased to see the goalie switch, which is no disrespect to like Langer, I think, but I mean, yeah. You've had Heckerin on the team for a bit now, and at some point I think you just got to give him an opportunity. I mean, like you have the two people who would otherwise be number one and number two, or like 1 and 1B, if you want to call it that, if you want to give, so Fairman doesn't explode on us, right? No, but I mean, if not now, like when are you actually going to give him an opportunity? This is like the best opportunity possibly, given the injury situation. So yeah, I was fine with it. I mean, I thought he did okay. Had a couple good moments. I thought defense didn't help him out at times, but good to at least get a look at him.
Yeah, I can't say that either goal was his fault in this one. Good to see Matriciani back in there, especially, Brunner, injury or not, he's just not been playing well this year. I mean, no one in the back four really has, in particular the center backs, but good to see Matriciani back there. He kind of did get burned in the second goal, which we'll get to, but happy to see him in the starting lineup. And then again, Karaman back into the starting 11. Always good to see him, because he seemed to be lively when he was with us. It's still not as good as what we had hoped him to be, but for this season, he's been one of the better players. It seems like the more consistent players, I should say. So good to see him back in the lineup, and obviously Sebastian Polter, always good to see him. I think he's deserved to start, and obviously Tirada is hurt coming off of injury, so he's not going to get the start in this one. But I think Polter shown us that he's more than deserved to be a starter on this team.
Yeah, I mean, there's things to like about Polter's game in contrast with Tirada. We did see Tirada come off the bench in this one ultimately for the final 30 or so minutes, and maybe that's a cameo that's going to lead to his reinsertion into the starting lineup. We'll have to wait and see, what the new boss thinks about that situation. Potential for both of them, although I doubt we're going to go in that direction.
Yeah.
Given kind of the profile of both of them, I don't think you're going to double stack those too often. But we are potentially going to be seeing a starting shape that would accommodate two strikers. But as far as the rest of the lineup, Merkin, I have issues with him in the sense of I think he's a little bit his first touch can be a little bit loose at times. But I do think I like his energy. I think he's got a good shot on him. And so I think there's always a couple moments in the game where he creates something. I thought Drexler had a pretty, steady hand in the first half overall. And yeah, I mean, I agree on your Karaman take overall, I think as well.
The visitors, we had Ernst in goal with former Schalke player John Joe Kenny back in our lives, and right back with Leistner, Kempf, and Karbownik with Dardai, Bukalikis, Zivolk, Privlik, who would be a goal scorer, Fabian Riza, former Schalke player, goal scorer in this game, and Tabakovic in goal or as a striker. Obviously, the two former Schalke players are guys going to draw our attention just from the name alone. John Joe Kenny not been performing as well, for Hertha, but Fabian Riza, if he's getting starting minutes, it means he's got to be doing something good. He certainly did in this game, but thoughts on Hertha's lineup going into this one?
Yeah, well, I mean, if there's one former Schalke player in the lineup, the probability of that player scoring goal is about 50%. If there's two former Schalke players in the lineup, the probability of one of those scoring goal skyrockets to 100%. So when you see both John Joe Kenny and Fabian Reza in the starting lineup, you're not particularly pleased about that.
No.
Fabian Reza seems like he's been in a good run of form as well. I think he had a pretty good season last year, both scoring and setting things up. And from what I understand, has had a pretty good start to this campaign as well, despite what is just an atrocious haircut. But good to see him thriving elsewhere. I mean, I always want to see, the players that, try to break it into the first team and don't quite work out. You don't want them to obviously go on and have good careers. Just don't really appreciate it when they come back and score against us. And as far as he goes, real quick, certainly seems like he was on try hard mode today, playing with the chip on his shoulder. It seemed like he had a point to prove. He was hand waving, calling for the ball, taking people on, right and left, and proved to be a handful.
He did. First half, I thought overall, the first half it was an okay performance. Worth note, Keenan Karaman gets a yellow card into the 31st minute in the game, but really, Hegerin had to make a couple saves in that first half. Offensively, I didn't think we did much. Anything that really drew my ire. It really wasn't until the 41st minute or so, whatever, Hertha scored. It was a really weird play where ball comes in. Nobody really touches it, and it hits off of Prevlik, and he scores a goal. Hegerin was kind of frozen in his spot. He had both center backs, Kaminsky and Baumgartl, just looking at it and watch the ball bounce and leave it wide open. I mean, thoughts on that goal? I mean, 6s and 7s back there on that play.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to see your goalkeeper kind of let that one go through. So I'm not saying that was a great moment from him.
Could have been more aggressive for sure.
Certainly seemed like somebody was going to get a body part on that before he would have a potential to get it. So I think he was just caught off guard by the fact that it ended up kind of bouncing freely. But it comes off of like a deflected cross and everything. So complete freak goal, bad goal to concede, obviously, but not the result of a particularly incisive Hertha move. So nothing to be concerned about in terms of, that. But still pretty frustrating leading into halftime to concede that way.
So you're hoping that the team would regroup and get their wits back, and didn't really quite happen because right out of the break, Hertha with the attack, and as you mentioned before, when you have two Schalke players in the lineup, the chances of someone scoring is very high, more than guaranteed. And Fabian Riza on the left hand side goes one-on-one, decides to go one-on-one against the GOAT, and nutmegs him, and then nutmegs the goalkeeper in a wonderful goal by him. Really poor defense overall by everybody. But 2-0 at that point, I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. The game's over. But completely destroyed our defense on that goal.
Yeah. Went against Gotriciani, and unfortunately kind of did him there. Nutmeg blew right past him, fired a shot off near post. Really nicely worked. Not the first time that Fabian Reyes was looking good in this match. He was, like I said earlier, active, consistently incisive, putting us under pressure. It definitely seemed like they were attacking Matriciani a lot down that side on the dribble. When Fabian Reyes was subbed out later, I forget who came in for him. That player, smoked Matriciani once as well later in the game. So kind of a mixed bag for Matriciani. They definitely had some tough moments on the defensive end. Ultimately contributed a couple nice things on the offensive end and made a couple good stops as well. But I mean, the same kind of thing we see from him sometimes, just getting undone some of those pacier situations. And but like I said, credit to Fabian Reza. Nice goal.
Gustav Christensen was a player who came in for Riza and
Right.
did that to him. It's funny because when you think of Gotriciani and what is actually his best position or what's his natural position, I think I would say right back. And it seems like out of right back, center back, and left back, he gets beat the most on the right back position. That's just what it seems like. Maybe because he plays more conservatively in the other two positions, he doesn't get beat. Maybe he's too confident or too comfortable at the right back position. But it seems like they're always beating him on the right hand side. And it's like, oh God, come on, I thought you were right back. But I digress. That goal happens. It's 2-0 at this point, so you figure they're gonna throw the kitchen sink at everybody. They had about 4 substitutions in a matter of like a couple minutes span. You had Kabadai coming in for Oyan. You had Lasme coming in for Drexler. Seguin came in for Schallenberg, and then Simon Torda for Poulter. That's a like for like there. Seemed to do a little bit better at that point. Lasme had a really great opportunity in the 61st minute or 62nd minute. Comes down his right hand side, as we've seen so many times this year. Gets one. Was it off the post or was the goalie saved? Do you remember that?
I don't, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great opportunity. I feel like it was a goalkeeper save, but great chance there by Brian Lasme. And really, we started getting more and more opportunities in the second half. I thought, especially with when did Odrago came on? He came in late.
I thought we did a good job in the second half, especially once Lasme came in. Playing into those wide areas more, getting crosses in, winning corner kicks, and basically doing things to try to unsettle was another young goalkeeper on the opposite side from Herkinen on Hertz's line. I think that's a smart strategy, potentially. Just get a lot of stuff in the air, get the goalkeeper kind of like away from some of his normal positions and having to kind of get off balance and stuff. So, I mean, I liked that. And, anytime we can get Lasme healthy and down the wing, in those cameo roles, especially when he has like the fresh leg advantage later in the matches, he can create some separation and create some danger for sure.
And one of the guys who maybe didn't have so much fresh legs, Karaman, in the 81st minute coming down, he's looking for Simon Taroda, and Taroda, smartly leaves it off because Kabadai coming with a better angle and kind of opens up his hips and does a nice finish there. 2-1 at that point. You're like, okay, 10 minutes left. Maybe there's a chance we're going to come back in there in this game.
So was that intentional for you, by the way? Do you think he was playing that to Taroda? Do you think he was playing that to Kabadai?
I think he was playing to Taroda. I honestly do. And I think Kabadai just came out of nowhere from the backside with the speed and cut. And I think Taroda was a smart one, kind of noticed that he was coming and he kind of let it go. And
maybe Taroda just didn't have the pace. But
maybe.
No, when I watched it live, it looked like it was intentional to Kabadai. On some of the replays, I was less convinced. And you may be correct in terms of it being intended elsewhere. But if it was to Kabadai, it was perfectly weighted. And I think Kabadai did a great job opening his hips up, going to that far corner, finished it well. And at that point, hey, still like 10 minutes or so left to try to make the difference. A bunch of fresh legs on, at that time. So, could have made something happen.
We had one last fresh leg, which would be Asan Odrago. And man, why didn't they bring him on earlier? Because he was like almost an instant impact at that point. He had one play just before the end of the game where he kind of went through like everybody on Hertha and just misses it wide. Again, I mean, it'd be good to see Lasme, Odrago, Kabadai all on the pitch at the same time, because I think all three of them are the best chances we have at scoring goals, at least breaking down the defenses, and maybe you have a Poulter or Taroda trying to tap it in as poachers as they are.
Yeah, this was, I think, like the first week that we really started seeing rumors or whispers of, interest around Europe, kind of keeping tabs on Ouedraogo.
A lot of interest,
So, and not surprising, obviously, with despite how poorly Schalke's been doing, he's been obviously raising some eyebrows. I think so. I mean, would have liked to see him a little bit earlier in this match. Maybe they're protecting him from the minutes that he's playing or something like that. Still obviously very young. Or
maybe he's finishing up some homework.
Who knows? But great player.
Yeah, no, it certainly was. End up losing the game 2-1. I mean, we had a decent amount of shots, 16 shots. Both teams had that. We had more shots on target than they did. Possession was fairly even in this game. Fouls are even. We had 11 corners of their 5. So, I mean, most of that came from the second half performance, but I still think it's like we were missing something. And I thought there'd be a new manager bump, and it's not really a new manager, right? Kreutzer's been with the team, but I thought, for sure with the firing of Rice that the team would respond, and I didn't completely get that. There were moments where there were certainly passion and fire, especially in that second half, but overall, I thought still the team was lacking. And I was bummed to see that, especially with Kreutzer and Busquets leading the way.
Yeah, I thought we were very stagnant in sort of our possession shape. Not a lot happening in front of the center backs for them to kind of like, play out of the back when we tried to do that. So, we saw a lot of long balls, stuff with the side. It's I think one of our better opportunities in the game, probably one of our higher XG opportunities at least, came, I think, off of like a, Heckeren goal kick, which somehow makes down on the right-hand side. I think it's played to Drexler in the center, and he's like wide open in front of goal and just like skies it off target or something unfortunate, finish from him. But yeah, outside of like transition moments in that, I think we rarely saw us doing a lot of good stuff from possession in the final third.
Yeah,
occasionally in the match, but yeah, not frequently enough.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't remember if it was a pre-match press conference or the post-match press conference, but they had Kreutzer up there, and it may have been in the week leading up to it, but only one person showed up to the press conference in terms of reporters. Nobody was really interested at that point. We're like, okay, whatever. This is a Schalke shit show. We're not gonna go, be part of this press conference. But after the game, there was some changes happening, and we kind of knew this. Alex Hefer had mentioned leading up to this week that their new CEO and new manager would be announced during an international break, and to his word, that did happen. First, we'll start with the new CEO. Where is my screen? Is that the one? That's what I wanted. Matthias Tillmann, 39-year-old, is overwhelmingly approved by the supervisory board. He has a contract until January 1st, 2024, or begins January 2021. What is it? Actually, let's look at my screen here. There you go. Appointed as of January 1st, so he doesn't start until the 21st. That's right. That's when what's his name steps down. Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart tonight. But anyway, Tillmann, the big joke, obviously I made it at the start of the show, is he's a friend of Alex Hefer, and he's coming over from Trivago, where he was a CFO there. No really football experience whatsoever. Thoughts on him? Because I think the idea with him is what he does behind the scenes and the marketing and
financially and
financial and social media, all that stuff. So I mean, thoughts on the hiring of Matthias Tillmann?
When it comes to these kind of things, I'm not going to pretend like I'm well educated on this guy's business career, or, the work he did at Trivago, whatever. From what I gather from the commentary and reporting I've seen, it seems like he could, as I just mentioned, be useful, kind of taking us forward out of the financial issues that we had previously and helping to get some structure and getting us operating efficiently. So if that's the case, happy to see it. Don't really know what else to say beyond that. Wish him all the best in the role.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think what we heard from him in the background is going to certainly help us. But yeah, I mean, there's certainly the naysayers out there, and then people who want to back him. But we'll see. You got to give him a chance, right? And see what he can do, and really if he can help us with the financial part, especially that can do wonders for us, because we really don't have any funds at the moment, and we really can't buy players where we need to, or compensate for areas that we're lacking in, and use it with money. We have to result in free transfers and buddy relationships, and then it's not going to get us anywhere if we do that. So we'll see what he does, and good luck to him, and welcome to the team. But the other bigger news, well, the rumors was that this former manager, so last season, a Belgian club who had a couple years ago before got promoted from the second division in Belgium to the first division, and automatically went up to second place that next season in the top division. And Karel Geraerts, he was the assistant manager for that team, and then the following year he would take over as manager, continue that, had a really great season last year, finished second again, just missed the title in the last minutes of the season. Got to the semifinals of the Belgian Cup and lost in the penalty kicks, and then you went to Europa League and lost to Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen team. And so pretty impressive season last year. I did follow them closely just because they were a Cinderella story. Knew nothing about the team or the manager. So when I heard rumors that he would be the new manager, I said, that's great. That'd be a perfect signing. I don't believe it, though, because he seems like such a hot commodity and very anti-Schalke in terms of what the supervisory board would be looking for, because he's not German, has nothing to do with Schalke in history, and it just didn't seem like a very sexy Schalke pick, because that is something we would see. But the days went on, and all of a sudden guys like Sky Dirk and other people, Andreas Aaron, started confirming that the rumors were true. And then lo and behold, our new manager was announced. Thoughts on him. I did make a nice video, which I'm obviously plugging right here. The tactics of him. If you haven't gone check it out, go check it out. A quick 9-10 minute video talking about all the tactics he does, what he can bring. But I'm gonna let you go and get your instant reaction on this new hiring.
No, I mean, I think you obviously watched a lot more of them in Europe last year than I did in Europe. More familiar. Yeah. I think it's interesting in the sense that something of a creative hire from outside, but obviously some hype around his performances last year. Somewhat surprising to be able to attract somebody like that. Potentially, I guess it just shows that regardless of everything going on, it's especially on the pitch for Schalke. It still is a desirable job to some extent. We haven't completely lost that, and I think that's largely obviously a credit to the supporter base. How many people they get in the stadium every week to see them. It's still a massive club. Despite our current failings and predicament, so to be able to attract somebody who had that kind of success in Europe last year is potentially exciting. It seems like from his press conference, he's amiable but pretty no nonsense. Is going to look to implement some discipline, hopefully unite the dressing room. Going to look for commitment on both ends of the ball from his players. And as you talked about a little bit, likely going to at least try to experiment or implement like a 3-5-2 shape. Generally, he said in the press conference that he's definitely open to flexibility, wants to have multiple options. I still get the sense that he's probably, he does kind of favor that and may try to make it work. I think that has interesting implications when you kind of look at our squad, because I think that some of our strengths at the moment are kind of more in like the winger position, you could argue to some extent, and that a change of shape in that regard may make that difficult to accommodate some of those players, and it may not be the optimal usage of the squad. I don't know how you feel about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to bring this earlier, but I wanted to wait till we mentioned about the new manager, because I feel like a name that could be, you mentioned possibly a Polter Tarota, a striker partnership, and that maybe couldn't work because they're both very similar players. I would not be surprised, and keep an eye out Brian Lasme. He's mobile, he's big, but he certainly has the qualities to be a perfect partner to a Tarota or a Polter, I think. And so he did play for Arminia Bielefeld in the striker position. He played in many positions up in the attack, but he got what 11 goals last year, I think, for Arminia Bielefeld in the striker position. So I would not be surprised if they went that direction, honestly. So I'm excited about that. Thoughts on possibly having a Lasme up there, or what's your early indication if they do go 2-striker system?
Yeah, I mean, definitely interested in seeing that. I think that, the point I was more trying to make is like, you look at some of the current stacks like Merkin and Oyan, like one of those guys is going to have to go in that situation, which is fine. I'm not saying that like, Merkin has to be in the lineup or anything along those lines. And then you just have, you have players like, Karaman played a little bit more centrally potentially in this game, but like you have players like Karaman or Kazuki or Lasme if you don't move them up to the top. And if you move to that kind of shape, it gets harder to accommodate some of those guys in those wider areas. So, I mean, like who would you play? Who would you play as like wing back? Would you just go Bruno? I mean, like
on the right side?
On the right side.
Man, that is tough, because I mean, certainly Oyan is one on the left you want to put in there, and the vice would be Merkin. But the right side, you can't do Aydin because he's in Turkey, right? But man, I think that's tough. I mean, you could put Drexler, even though he's not a right back. But Tristiani could probably play that role to an extent, even though you probably want him in the back because he's not pacey at all. Brunner, I guess Brunner by default.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is like I'm not anti 3-5-2 or anything like that. If we want to go in that direction, I'm just when we talk about the squad makeup, I'm sure there's plenty of players that could slot in and do a job. When I'm looking at it, it's not particularly clear, at least convincing, without having seen it first.
And you kind of mentioned this, the Schalke still being a sexy pick in Europe, and when the rumors started happening with Mr. Geraerts, another team that popped up was Bordeaux, and I'm like, well, Bordeaux is a top division team. He's gonna go there, right? Why would he come to a second division team? But sure enough, he mentioned in his press conference, he goes, hey, and in Belgium, Schalke is a huge club. We know with our historic club, and we were all happy when Schalke came calling, and I was more than ecstatic to join the team. Apparently, he was at the game, hiding in the suites, to keep out of. I try to not break the news too early. So they showed video of that when he was in one of the suites there. But having him join the team, I think it's a great buzz. The buzz by the fan base, I think, is automatically so better than we've seen since probably the first week of the year for us. And so, because a lot of optimism, like you said, is very anti-Schalke, because they went outside, they took a risk. It's somebody who's not from Germany, someone who doesn't speak German at all. And no, that's I like that they were thinking outside the box. They had to, because everything we've done has been nothing work, right? Threw shit at the wall and nothing stuck. And so excited about that. I mean, obviously there's a video. Go check out the video. If you want a more in-depth tactical analysis, go to schalkeamerica.com. Wrote a piece, a more in-depth tactical piece on how his team last year performed. Yeah, the 3-5-2 is interesting. I think we already saw today in practice what kind of player person he is. He's very amiable, like you said, but he's also like a no-nonsense guy in the sense that he will make guys correct their mistakes. I heard from the practice today that he pulled Templeman aside and talked to him about a couple of mistakes he was making. Same thing with Matriciani. Did a lot.
Templeman had a good game, by the way. I want to shout him out because I've been kind of like not as high on him, I think, in certain matches. I thought in the first half especially, he was all over the place and was really putting in a shift. Good job from him this past game.
It's funny because this is one of the games I was like, come on, man, because he had some really bad passes on the offensive side. I'm like, what are you doing? I see what Jack is talking about now.
Yeah. But like he was like, I mean, some of his track backs and
that's the one thing he does well.
In the early first part of the first half where he brought the energy early on.
Yeah. It says but seriously, the right side would be a question mark. Yep, 100%, Eric, 100%. And good to see you, Nonder Footy. Yeah, I think one takeaway I took from what I've read into him and all his tactics and the gameplay I've seen is that the one major improvement I can see from Schalke, other than he's going to be focused defensively, discipline, right? Because his teams tend to be 5 at the back. When he goes for 3-5-2, he goes a 5-3-2 defensively, and we did that 2 years ago. We did that very well, and we kind of stayed on that position or in that formation. That's when we kind of had that success at the end of the season, really. And so if we can find some stability back there, that would help immensely. But the other thing I think also what we saw also in practice today, and what his teams like to do, are quick one-touch passings. It's not this, the way Schalke just, meanders up the pitch and just plays slowly, think they're, Pep Guardiola and just taking their time. It's like, no, they're one-touch pass, quick passing. What he likes to do is he likes to attack from the width area. So obviously we already know how to cross the ball with Thomas Oyan, so that's going to help there. But he has plan Bs and plan Cs. He uses triangles and likes to attack the defenses. And so I think that area is going to improve the most from Schalke, is the quick one-touch passing, plus hopefully some defensive stability. But first and foremost, you got to play good defense to get good offense. And I think there's a chance with him. At least the hope is that he will be doing that. So excited for that. Yeah, I agree with Eric. We need a big ball winner. Distribution off. Yep, that's Templeman for you. Yeah, excited for this. We got to see what's going to happen. First friendly is going to be against Heracles Almelo from the Eredivisie. Coming up in a couple of days, actually. I think Saturday, right? Or sometime this week. I got a notification on my phone of when it's coming up. And then first official games against Karlsruhe after the international break. So it's good that they made the move immediately after the game, because he's got a few more days to kind of get the team acclimated to him. And he's got his assistant. I forgot the guy's name, Tim. I forgot the guy's name. But he brought him over from USG.
I agree, though. I'm glad that we got it done as soon as we did, because they definitely seem like they kept it sort of under wraps, or at least more than you maybe have expected, given all the leaks coming from around the club recently, if you can believe all of those. But yeah, certainly to be able to get him in right after the game and then have the international break for him to kind of get his feet wet and start working with the players is, I think, optimal.
The game is on Thursday. Oh, here we go. Okay, the game's on Thursday. It's gonna be live on YouTube. So definitely check that out. Game kicks off at 1 p.m. I guess our time, my time. I don't know. 1 p.m. Oh, it'd be their time. Early game. There you go. No, I think it's actually 1 p.m. in Germany. So you're looking at 6 hours back. So that's 7 a.m., 6 a.m. for you. So a little pre-work game for us, huh? No, we'll see. But yeah, excited to see how the team looks, and then we can talk about it after the international break. But yeah, lots of down about the season, right? Performances have not lived up to anything that we had hoped for. But we got a new CEO and we got a new manager, and hopefully this manager can right the ship here. So we need to do something because we're currently in the relegation zone. It's more than embarrassing, I think. We're I don't know what
we
to
want to
say.
be Sunderland. So
yeah, no, we don't want to be Sunderland. We don't want to be Kaiserslautern. There's a lot of teams that fell to this fate, right? It's funny. I was wondering, like, how long has Hamburg been down here in this Liga? And they've been here since like 2017 or something, right? I mean, they've been here forever. This is almost like the new home here. It's a team that had 50 years plus in the Bundesliga, and all of a sudden can't get back up, and so we don't want to be.
That's the example. Everyone's like, "Oh, we'll bounce right back up," and ultimately we did last year, but it was kind of fortunate given the run we went on the end of the season. And you look at a club like Hamburg that everyone thought like couldn't get relegated in the first place, and there was 5 years consistently down there, kind of a thing. So it can happen to anybody. Yeah, and hopefully we can right the ship. The math still is obviously crazy at this point in the season. So if we rattle off a few wins, things can change quickly. And I mean, look, I don't anticipate us getting promoted this season, but if we can right the ship and finish in a comfortable table position, I think that would be positive. And who knows what's possible with the new manager? We'll have to see if his philosophy is able to implement it, and if the changes work.
Yeah, and he even mentioned, like, he's like, I know where we are in the table. I'm not going to make any predictions. We're going to focus one game at a time, and if we keep getting results, end of the season, we'll be in a good place where we're supposed to be. And so that's the only way they can take it at this moment, right? And hopefully get on a hot streak and stay hot, because currently St. Pauli sit on top of the table, 19 points. Hamburg and Kaiserslautern second and third with 17 points each, and we're lowly in 16th position at 7 points, so way, way away. But hey, you string a bunch of results, you beat those teams at the top. When you come back and you play them this season, anything can happen. So, not all down in the doldrums still, but let's see what happens here.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about for it's international break? So, not really going to do anything until after the international break.
I was victorious in the Schalke America derby this past weekend. Bears beating the Commanders. My Chicago Bears finally getting a win at the expense of the Washington football team. Justin Fields looking quite good for the most part. Offensive line finally doing some work with Tevin Jenkins back in there. So any German viewers probably have no idea what we're talking about right now. That's okay. But yeah, NFL action. Richard and our teams played last weekend, and the Bears finally got it done.
Let me translate in German. Sorry. No, yeah, that was. I was hoping to be one bright spot for me last weekend. Last week, this totally sucked for me. Oh well, it is what it is, right? Both our teams are just not that great. So apparently, my team is the worst of the two. So. All right, let's get out of here. Big international break. Don't expect the podcast unless something that crazy happens with the team or something like that. But maybe we'll do a little late night chat or something this weekend to wrap up the Heracles game to see how that went. But only if we win. All right, Jack. Where can our social media find you? Where can our followers find you on social media?
At JMMangan, JMMANGAN on Twitter /X.
X, that's right. You can follow me at R_KHARMAN. More importantly, follow Schalke America on YouTube, Instagram, anywhere on social media. Definitely give a plug for our website, schalkeamerica.com. Go check out the full tactical breakdown of Karel Geraerts and what to expect with him. And if you want if you're more the visual person, go to YouTube, check out the tactics video, 9-10 minutes long. Like I said, get a little idea of what we are to expect with him this season. So, yeah, do that, and we'll catch you. Enjoy the international break. Try to get back to feeling happy, because it's been a while with Schalke, right? So, for Jack, myself, for everyone in the chat, Glukov, we see you guys. Have a good night, and enjoy the break. Glukov.